All right, Bill, I want to talk to you a little bit today here on the Smart Mortgage Show about the benefits of the lender agent team. We focus on you and your side of things all the time, but you have quite a few relationships with agents and you work hand in hand with them on pretty much every deal and every mortgage that you're working on, right?
Yeah, so I would say 90% of the time we're working with a real estate agent that probably referred us to the buyer or the borrower, and we have a really good working relationship with them. So it's basically, and you've heard this before on this show, there's a theme of, if you were in need of a serious operation, heart surgery, you're going to want a really good heart surgeon. If God forbid you don't, but if you needed an attorney, you'd want a really competent attorney when you're buying a house. It's the largest asset purchase that you'll ever make in your life, and it's also going to be the largest debt encumbrance that you're ever going to have in your life. For 99.99% of people, you're going to want the right team to help you make the best decisions possible. Ultimately, you're going to make the decisions, but we're going to lead you hopefully to the best decisions. So I work with a lot of really great real estate agents that always put the customer, the buyer, the home buyer's best interest at the top. We do as well. When we do that, we usually, high percentage of the time, we get a really good result and have a really happy customer at the end of the day.
And that's what you're aiming for, right? I mean, that's the goal. It's not just, hey, let's print out a number or a percentage rate for you and, start signing some paperwork. It's about trying to get the best outcome for everyone you work with. So let's talk about some of those benefits then of having a strong team of yourself compared with a good agent and what that can mean. And the first one, you talk about negotiations all the time. How do you two work together to help negotiate on someone's behalf?
It's a great question. So there are, and I don't know the number exactly, but it's somewhere like 100 and some different items in the Pennsylvania real estate contract that are negotiable.
Okay.
Most people don't think about a lot of them.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So a lot of the realtors that I work with, they're really fantastic real estate agents, and they are looking at all of the ways to negotiate to put their prospective buyer into the best position possible when it comes to making this purchase. And then what we do as the lender side is we get involved and have discussions before we make the offer. How are we going to craft the very best offer possible, right? How are we going to make your offer as competitive as possible, which is also a really big component in today's market.
Yeah, because we just go back a couple of years ago. I mean, just to go out and try to get a home, it felt overwhelming for a lot of people, right? Because you found something you like and you're probably too late, even if it's been on the market for just a couple of days. Obviously, the dynamics have changed a little bit, but how are y'all able to make that offer more aggressive?
Yeah, so basically when somebody, and believe it or not, if somebody's not in love with the house, we might not make an aggressive offer. It is what it is. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But if the buyer is really interested in the home, then what we're going to do is we're going to work together, because one of the big hurdles in most people buying a house is getting the mortgage. So we want to make the mortgage as small a hurdle as possible. So one of the things that we do is we always look to see, can we get an appraisal waiver, meaning that the lender accepts the appraised value 100% without an appraiser even going out to the house. Now, that's a really good thing to do because not all lenders are looking for that. But there is one trick to that is if I get the waiver, somebody else will get it. It actually works out even better if they don't get the waiver, because we can use appraisal gap coverage in many cases, and that most lenders don't know how to do. So we coach up our buyer on exactly how that works and use that as a tool, and that has won many, many offers for us. The other thing is closing quickly, or going in with cash, but still bringing a mortgage to the table, which you're allowed to do. And the Pennsylvania real estate contract stipulates that the seller has to let an appraiser in if an appraisal is needed. So there's a lot of different ways. Those are just a few that we're working on the behalf of the buyer to make their offer really strong.
When those things happen, is it the agent coming to you and saying, hey, so Bill, this is going to be a tough purchase for us. We got a lot of competition. What are some different things we can get creative on? And then you're able to bring that to the table. Is that kind of how that conversation works? Because I'm sure as a buyer, I would have any idea, right? I wouldn't know kind of what to say there. So I'm assuming that's kind of what you mean by that team is y'all are communicating with each other.
Yeah. So really what's happening is we're in constant communication, myself and the real estate agents that I work with. And when we're getting ready to craft a contract, we're talking about the specifics. And the real estate agent is going to bring to the table the current market tactics that are being used, right? Because in a different market, you're going to use very different tactics than what you're using today. And some of them carry into any market, okay? But they're going to mention the things that are really working to help be aggressive in this market. Like, unfortunately, no home inspections. A lot of people are waiving the home inspection. A lot of people are waiving the appraisal contingency, which means if it doesn't appraise, they'll bring the difference in cash. So, and then on the lender side, they'll ask me, hey, what do you see? Can we make an offer without a contingency? Do they need that? Another lender told them they have to sell first. Do they have to sell first? I love that one because a lot of times we can be creative and figure out a way that they don't need to sell. And now there's the most, prohibitive contingency is a sale of house contingency. That one gets laughed off the table these days. So if we can remove that, we're already putting our buyer in a much better spot.
How long have you been doing this, Bill?
21 years.
21 years. So you have a few relationships in the community, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's kind of the next thing, right? Is having someone that's been around, that knows the community, is well regarded. It can benefit you quite a bit, right?
100%. So what I would say is a lot of times when the selling agent, the listing agent, if they see a pre-approval from an unknown lender or even a national lender that's known to just not close on time or not close at all, I've seen where they just will disallow that pre-approval.
Okay.
Since I've been, fortunate enough to do this in this area for the past 21 years, I know a lot of the agents. So when my offer goes over, they know exactly who I am, and they know that we don't send a pre-approval out unless we're 100% sure we can get it closed. So they're guaranteed that if they work with us, we will get this to settlement outside of any kind of like extenuating strange circumstance, like a title issue or something that we, could not have foreseen. Termites are revealed to have eaten the structure of the home. We obviously don't control that, but when it comes to, and that stuff's rare. And when it comes to anything that has to do with the mortgage, we have two rules. Never pre-approve somebody that you can't get to the table, and never turn somebody down that you can get to the table.
I like those two rules. All right, Bill, last thing, availability, right? This is another benefit of having a good team. Is someone that's going to be there when you have questions, because questions are going to come up all the time. And if you've been through this process before at all, you realize there's a lot of anxiety during the process and you got a lot of questions and, hey, is this going to work out? What can we do to improve things? Like having someone that's available can not only benefit you, but just ease a lot of that tension.
So availability is really big because, well, number one, people work and they usually make offers and see houses when most people are not, when they're off work, right? So it's a lot of this stuff takes place off hours, and we're available till about 9 p.m. Monday through Friday and 11 to 7 Saturday and Sunday. We're closed on Christmas and New Year's, but I have gotten calls before and we've been able to help. So we are very available because we know these things don't take place always 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. And if there's a hot house and there's multiple offers and we want to get in on that, we've got to be available to allow our buyer to be in on that.
Well, we're not going to give out your cell phone number here on the show, Bill. You got to actually sit down and work with Bill to maybe get access to that. But if you do want to begin that process or just learn more about Bill and the team at Cross Country Mortgage, you can do so, 484-352-1400. 4151. And again, been serving that Chadds Ford community for over 20 years. And Bill, just kind of wrap this up. And when people probably say, okay, have the right agent and lender team. Well, how much control as a buyer do I have of that, right? Because I'm sure I'm going to talk to my agent or pick out my agent I'm working with, and they're going to say, oh, well, Bill Litton, he's someone I've worked with a lot. I trust a lot. So is that really in my control, or is it just, finding the right agent that leads me to you? Or what can we do to make sure we have this right team, I guess is what I'm ultimately asking.
That's a really great question. So what I would say is a lot of times it's a referral from a friend or a family member who had a really great experience. I would also say that to some degree, reviews online can be really helpful. The other thing, though, is when, this is, again, the largest purchase you're ever going to make in your life. And when you talk to that lender or that real estate agent, you should have a list of questions. They should be happy to answer them. They shouldn't be off-put by it. You want to know that they understand the area that you're buying or selling in. Also that you want to know that, from a lending standpoint, what is their feeling on the market and where things are going, and how are they going to help you through this high interest rate environment that we're in? So I would ask questions that are important to you and make sure you feel comfortable with the answers. And if you don't, it's worth it to keep looking around until you find somebody that you're comfortable with.
Awesome. Again, you can call 484-352-4151. And if you want to just jump into the application process, if you're that far along, you're kind of ready to take that next step, you can just hit the Get Started button. But also Cross Country takes a very consultative approach to this process and helping you get into a mortgage. So if that's the path you prefer, they'll have that for you. But again, smartmortgageshow.com is the website. Phone number 484-352-4151.